Richard Phillips was just 26 years old when his entire life was stolen from him. He was an ordinary man in Detroit, Michigan, with dreams, friends, and a future ahead of him. But in 1971, that future was shattered when he was accused of a murder he had nothing to do with. The accusation was thin. There was no DNA evidence, no fingerprints, no murder weapon tied to him. The only thing prosecutors had was the word of a single witness, a man who had his own crimes to hide and his own freedom to protect. His testimony was enough to put Richard on trial. The courtroom moved quickly. Within months, Richard was convicted of murder. The judge sentenced him to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Just like that, his youth and freedom were erased. He entered prison as a young man in his 20s and would not see freedom again until his 70s. Inside, Richard struggled to make sense of what had happened. Imagine being told you would spend the rest of your life behind bars for something you didn't do. He had no hope of parole. The world outside kept moving forward, but Richard remained locked in time. To cope, he turned to art. He began painting with whatever materials he could find. His artwork became his escape, a way to keep his spirit alive when everything else was stripped away. But no painting, no dream, could replace the decades stolen from him. Year after year, Richard filed appeals. Year after year, the system turned him down. For 36 years, he lived with rejection, hopelessness, and the weight of injustice pressing down on him. Think about that. 36 years. Entire generations were born and raised while Richard sat behind concrete walls. Finally, in 2017, the truth came out. A review of old cases revealed what Richard had been saying all along. He was innocent. The witness who testified against him had lied. There was no crime that tied him to the murder. For 36 years, Richard Phillips had been locked away for nothing. When he was finally released, he was 71 years old, a free man, but a man who had missed more than half his life. The world he walked back into was unrecognizable. The last time he was free, there were no smartphones, no internet, no modern cars on the road. Technology had leapt forward decades. But Richard had been frozen in the 1970s. He had no money, no home. His family was gone. The state admitted he should never have been convicted. Yet what could ever repay him for losing 36 years of his life? Richard later said the only thing that kept him alive was hope. Hope that one day someone would listen. Hope that one day the truth would set him free. His story is the longest wrongful imprisonment in American history. But beyond the record, it is a warning, a reminder how fragile justice can be and how quickly it can be stolen. Richard Phillips spent 36 years in prison for a crime that never even happened. And it forces us to ask, if this could happen to him, how many more are still suffering behind bars, waiting for the world to hear their truth? Do you believe the justice system can ever truly make this right? Please subscribe, like, and comment below.